Everything changed in a matter of seconds. How far would a desperate franchise actually go to save its season? It's the ultimate question. The kind of question you only ever ask when careers, reputations, and an entire organizational regime are literally hanging by a thread. In the National Football League, survival often forces teams to look deep into the abyss. It forces these executives to make choices they wouldn't have even considered during times of peace. Think about it. The line between a massive multi-million-dollar extension and complete, utter exile from the league. Well, it's terrifyingly thin.
Welcome to NFL Nexus. I'm your host, and today we're breaking down a story that honestly feels like it was ripped straight out of a Hollywood psychological thriller. We're talking about a high-stakes, high-tension drama playing out in real time, right now, behind the closed doors of front offices across the league. Before we plunge into this incredible situation, make sure you support the channel. Hit that subscribe button, like this explainer, leave a comment on what you think as we go, and consider becoming a channel member to get exclusive access to our content. Your support is what keeps the film rolling. Okay, let's dive into this. Because today, we aren't just looking at some standard roster transaction, no way. We're analyzing a sequence of events that could define or entirely destroy a billion-dollar franchise's legacy.
Section 3. The Fall from Grace. A promising career hanging by a thread.
Just a terribly short time ago, Terrion Arnold was the undisputed pride of the Detroit Lions draft board. We're talking about a highly touted 2024 first-round pick, a young, incredibly physical defensive back with the entire world completely at his feet. But as you guys know, the NFL is a league where the ground can just fall out from beneath you in an absolute instant. In a shocking, completely abrupt move, the Lions released Arnold. And look, it wasn't because of a blown coverage scheme. It wasn't because of a devastating knee injury. It was because of something far darker that sent immediate shockwaves through the entire league and halted a genuinely promising career dead in its tracks. The details here, they are completely sobering. On July 6th, Terrion Arnold cleared waivers. Now, for those unfamiliar with the exact minutia of the NFL waiver wire, that basically means 31 other teams had a strict 24-hour window to claim his existing contract. All 31 teams passed. That effectively made him a free agent available to absolutely anyone. But the underlying reason he's on the open market, it's chilling. He is facing active felony charges, armed robbery, and kidnapping. I really want you to take a second to let that sink in. Those are not minor infractions. Those are catastrophic, life-altering allegations. The weight of these felony charges hangs incredibly heavily over his future, and honestly, for almost any player in NFL history, accusations of this sheer magnitude would mean the absolute immediate end of their football journey.
Section 5. A high-stakes bidding war. The NFL machine stops for no one.
In literally any normal corporate environment, a resume carrying this kind of unresolved legal baggage gets shredded the absolute second it hits a hiring manager's desk. But the National Football League, well, it is not a normal business. It's a relentless, churning, completely unsympathetic machine, and it stops for absolutely no one. Notice the sheer, undeniable demand currently taking place. Despite the immense, heavy baggage that Arnold now carries, the demand for premium athletic talent creates this twisted reality. Just look at the names on this list. According to reports from his agent Nicole Lynn and some really detailed insights from the Detroit Free Press, the market is incredibly active for a player who just hit the open market. The Houston Texans haven't just made a preliminary phone call, they have literally already brought him into their building. They put him on the grass for a physical workout. The Indianapolis Colts have officially reached out to his camp. And according to ESPN's NFL insider Adam Schefter, 2 of the 3 other interested teams, which points directly to the New York Jets and the Seattle Seahawks, have actually scheduled private workouts for next week. The logistical reality of scheduling travel, medical evaluations, and fieldwork for a player actively under a criminal investigation, it's just staggering. Now, obviously, the uncertainty of his legal future has kept teams from handing him a contract today, but the temptation to secure his rare first-round talent is clearly way too powerful for these front offices to just ignore.
Section 7. Desperation in the front office. The clock is ticking in Indy.
Let's zero in on one franchise in particular to really understand the deep psychology behind this, the Indianapolis Colts. To comprehend why a team would even consider touching this highly radioactive situation, you have to look at the man pulling the strings, General Manager Chris Ballard. Now, Ballard is entering his 10th season at the helm in Indianapolis, but this isn't some comfortable, celebratory milestone. Not at all. For nearly a decade, the absolute hallmark of Chris Ballard's regime was high character. He had a strict, zero-tolerance policy for off-field issues. He meticulously built locker rooms filled with captains, leaders, and high-character guys. But now, Now we're seeing the drastic philosophy shift of a regime in sheer panic. We are seeing a front office entirely abandoning its foundational traits. With his second-to-last pick in the recent 2026 NFL Draft, Ballard selected running back Seth McGowan in the 7th round. McGowan is a former felon. Now, the context really matters here. McGowan had years to rehabilitate his image and prove to teams that he had changed. But actively pursuing Terrion Arnold, a man who has active charges and is yet to even face trial, that is a completely different stratosphere of risk. Actually, scratch that. It's an entirely different universe. They are completely disregarding massive character and legal concerns in a frantic, win-at-all-cost attempt to artificially inject talent into their defensive backfield.
Must win 2026. This right here is the crux of the entire situation. Chris Ballard's contract expires after this upcoming season. That is the ticking clock. When a general manager is in the final 12 months of his contract, the old rulebook is essentially thrown out the window and set on fire. The historical precedent for this kind of desperation in the NFL is incredibly well documented. Front offices will mortgage their entire future and compromise their deepest values just to survive the present. Because think about it. If they don't win now, the entire scouting staff, the coaching staff, the front office personnel, they'll all be cleaning out their desks by January. Survival is the absolute only metric that matters right now. The Colts are entering training camp staring down the barrel of a season where they simply have to win or the entire regime gets gutted. A GM fighting for his professional life will look under every single rock, no matter what kind of nightmare is hiding beneath it.
Section 10. The perfect scheme fit. Why take the risk?
So we've firmly established the immense, suffocating desperation in the front office, but we need to transition to the tactical why. Why this specific player? Why on earth would Indianapolis risk their entire franchise's public relations standing for a cornerback who, honestly, actually comes with a pretty shaky on-field resume? Well, to understand this massive gamble, we have to pull back the curtain, dive into the X's and O's, and look at what Terrion Arnold actually brings to the gridiron when that whistle blows. 290. I really want you to sit with that number for a moment. As a rookie, Terrion Arnold started 15 out of 16 games and played 290 snaps in pure man coverage. That number didn't just lead his team, it led the entire National Football League. I want you to visualize what 290 snaps of man coverage actually looks like for a 21-year-old rookie. It means isolating a young player on an absolute island with zero safety help over the top against the fastest, most freakish athletes on the planet. It demands flawless biomechanics, elite footwork, and immense mental fortitude. It was a literal baptism by fire. And you know what? He showed incredible toughness through that gauntlet, racking up 60 tackles and breaking up 10 passes. He proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was physically built for a dogfight.
But, and this is a massive but, those incredibly heavy coverage responsibilities came with a severe and damaging cost. 10. That's the number of penalties he committed in that rookie season. He was among the most penalized cornerbacks in the entire league. And look, when you isolate a rookie that frequently, raw panic just sets in. These penalties weren't just weird flukes. He was grabbing jerseys at the top of the route, he was committing defensive pass interference when he lost a step on deep balls, and he was getting flagged for defensive holding before the receiver even made their break. He was fighting for his life out there, violently struggling to keep his head above water in the absolute deep end of the NFL pool. It was the exact kind of raw, unrefined performance you'd expect from a young player who is completely overwhelmed by an aggressive, man-heavy scheme.
And the tactical risk becomes incredibly clear when you look at his sophomore campaign. His second year was heavily derailed by a frustrating string of injuries that kept him off the field for basically half the season. When he did play, Arnold earned a dismal 52.6 overall Pro Football Focus defensive grade. Now, to put that into perspective, in the context of NFL evaluation, a PFF grade in the low 50s is considered a massive liability. It ranked him as staggering 97th out of 114 qualified cornerbacks. That essentially means that on any given Sunday, there were 96 other corners playing demonstrably better football than him. Sure, he managed to grab his first career interception and broke up 8 passes in his 7 starts, showing genuine flashes of that first-round pedigree, but the baseline performance left a massive amount to be desired. The on-field production is heavily flawed. So again, the question just echoes, why is Indianapolis taking this gamble?
Well, the argument for the Colts really comes down to the void versus the fit. This offseason, the Colts made the agonizing, incredibly difficult decision to release their longtime veteran slot corner Kenny Moore II. Whether it was a pure cap casualty or a decision based on an aging veteran's declining speed, his departure created a massive gaping hole in the very middle of their defense. Enter defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. Now, Anarumo runs a highly complex system that absolutely relies on sheer physicality from its defensive backs. In his scheme, the slot cornerback is essentially a hybrid linebacker and run support. they have to set the edge, they have to blitz the quarterback, and they absolutely have to be willing to take on 300-pound pulling guards. Arnold, despite his penalty flaws and that visible panic on the outside boundary, has the raw physical traits, the heavy hands, and the aggressive tackling mentality that fits Anarumo's defense completely perfectly. In fact, many scouts in the draft evaluation process believed Arnold was always destined to move inside anyway and become a full-time enforcer in the slot.
Consider the complex defensive puzzle the Colts are actively trying to solve right now. The outside boundary positions, they're completely locked down by an elite veteran duo in Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward Sr. They don't need Arnold to survive on an island on the outside anymore. He wouldn't have to play 290 snaps of isolated man coverage against Alpha X receivers. But inside the slot, they have second-year player Justin Wally currently penciled in to replace Kenny Moore. Anarumo's history as a play caller demands fierce, unrelenting competition at that specific spot. He needs physical, defensive backs who will ruthlessly punish receivers coming over the middle of the field. Arnold represents a potential missing piece. He's this high-upside lottery ticket who could seamlessly slide right between Gardner and Ward, transforming this entire secondary into an absolute nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. It really is a perfect storm of absolute need and sheer availability on the depth chart.
Section 16. The ultimate gamble. Do the pros outweigh the cons?
We have to zoom out to the macro level now. We clearly see the desperation of a general manager sitting squarely on the hot seat. We clearly see the brilliant schematic fit in Lou Anarumo's defense. But we absolutely must ask the final overarching question. Is any potential defensive upgrade really worth the sheer magnitude of this catastrophic risk? You are literally looking at bringing a player into your locker room, into your pristine training facility, and into your city who is dealing with incredibly dark, unresolved felony charges. I want to read this quote directly from the source material, and I want you to really process its gravity. Adding someone to the mix who could be forcibly removed once the legal side of things is situated is not an ideal string attached. Man, that is the ultimate terrifying reality check for this franchise. Think about it. The Colts could invest their precious time, their incredibly limited coaching resources, and their carefully built public relations reputation only for a judge's gavel to randomly fall on a Tuesday afternoon. A conviction means this entire gamble vanishes into thin air instantly. If the legal system moves, Arnold could be forcibly removed from the facility by the league in the blink of an eye, leaving the team frantically scrambling defensively and their public image in absolute, unrecoverable ruins.
The ticking clock waits for no one. Chris Ballard's contract is expiring. The demanding, unforgiving NFL season is rapidly approaching. On one hand, you have the elite man coverage upside of a former first-round pick who perfectly fits your defensive scheme. On the other, you have the terrifying legal reality of armed robbery and kidnapping charges that could literally detonate your franchise at any second. In the desperate pursuit of professional survival, the line between right and wrong often blurs, replaced only by the cold, hard metrics of wins and losses. This isn't just about scheme fits, waiver wire mechanics, or PFF grades anymore, guys. It's a high-stakes psychological thriller playing out in real time before our very eyes. So what do you think? Do you think the Colts should pull the trigger on this massive gamble? Does sheer desperation justify abandoning your core values for one shot at saving your season? I really want to hear your take on this intense dilemma. Drop your thoughts in the comments section below right now. And remember to subscribe to NFL Nexus for more cinematic deep dives into the league's biggest, most complex stories. Like this explainer, become a channel member to really support what we do. And until next time, remember, the clock is ticking.